With minicamp finished and OTAs just about done, only one practice left, and most of the veterans won't be showing up to that. The Chicago Bears have a good group of guys here heading into training camp, and because of that, there's always going to be those cut candidates and those guys who are on the bubble. Want to talk about that on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, as always, hit that like button if you have not done so. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe to the page. If you're bleeding blue and orange, drop a Bardon in the comments as well. This is the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Let's jump straight into it. Big Bardons as always. And the Chicago Bears have made a ton of improvements to this team. And so there's a lot of excitement around this team heading into training camp this year, especially with the conversation like we had on the last video where the offense seems like it's actually ahead of the defense heading into this training camp. But we haven't talked about that very much. And so the first guy on my list who I think is somebody obvious who could be a cut candidate for the Chicago Bears here and is definitely on the bubble after the performance we saw out of him last year is Ryan Bates. Now, Ryan Bates is an excellent depth piece when healthy and probably is what he should be at all times, right? I think he's somebody who you do want on your team, but heading into this year, you save a little bit of money if you do end up releasing him post June 1. And I think here's the big thing about this, right? Last year, you saw him kind of hampered by a shoulder injury, limiting him to really only playing in about 3 games last season. And with all of the revamping moves here, it takes a lot of that talent that you had in the starting lineup and pushes it back down. Now, while Ryan Bates would be a good piece to have there and maybe as somebody you want to rely on there a little bit more, I think when you have names like Karan Amagaji on this roster, when you have names like Ozzie Trapillo on this roster, and you've still got Braxton Jones on this roster, you start to look at some of the depth around this offensive line and say, okay, I kind of see where this actually works out a little bit better for the Bears. And I think, listen, while I feel like Ozzie Trapillo could be an absolute dog and a beast at that starting left tackle spot, and I think that's where he's going to fit in best, he's from the right side. He played most of his career on the right side. If you were going to slide somebody in a need, in a pinch at that guard position on the right side, why wouldn't you use somebody who played on that right side anyway while at the tackle position, but who played on that right side anyway at the college level and was very successful, which is why you drafted him at the college level. To me, Ryan Bates is somebody who I just don't see where he really fits with this team long term. And when you're talking about continuing to pay him, especially if you're going to try and open up some money for the team moving forward, which I think still may be a scenario that the Bears are kind of in, I think Ryan Bates is a great place to kind of start looking if you're the Bears. And you hope that he's healthy. If he is healthy, he's phenomenal depth to have on this team. But when you start to look at the depth around here, you kind of look at Ryan Bates and go, okay, I'm not going to say that he's old, right? It's not like he's 45 years old out here, but I've got younger guys who are kind of stepping in and filling that role where I just don't know if Ryan Bates is still somebody that the Bears really need at that position. So for me, I think he's the number one guy that you're probably looking at right now if you're the Chicago Bears. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below. Do you feel like Ryan Bates is somebody who, and again, not making a ton of money here, I'm not telling you like you're saving $10 million, but you know, that's money that could be spent elsewhere on this team. We know the running back position could be one where the Bears are going to try to identify some people at. And so I think Ryan Bates makes a lot of sense. Let me know again how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Do you think Ryan Bates makes sense for the Chicago Bears to move on from number 2 on my list? And I've got 5 guys here. There's going to be 5 cut candidates here. Number 2 on my list right now And I'm sorry, I wanted this guy to be successful. You guys know he was one of my first interviews when I got the Chicago Bears podcast. I was excited to have him on when he was a rookie player, and he came out well ahead of where anybody expected him to be. But over the last 2 seasons, Zacch Pickens just has not done enough. And as a third-round pick right now. I mean, he struggled to make any impact over the last couple of seasons. He's only had a sack and a half over the last 2 seasons. And I think with additions like Grady Jarrett, you've also added Shemar Turner to this team. Where do you fit in at all on this team? Where is there a spot? Like, it doesn't even make sense to bring him in and keep him around as depth at this point with the minimal impact that we've seen from him. Oh, by the way, at minicamp, it basically was like he didn't exist out there. And there were times where, and I think he was banged up, I believe one of the days there, but there were times where it was just like, I forgot he was on the team until somebody asked me, like, hey, what does Zacch Pickens look like out there? For me, I think he's probably the highest candidate right now on this list, and somebody who you just kind of look at and you feel like, is he going to live up to that competition there, especially with what you've added in Grady Jarrett, especially what you've already got in Andrew Billings? I think even the fact that Dio Odangbo has some of that inside-outside capability. We saw what Flus did last year with DeMarcus Walker. I don't know why I forgot my boy right there. We saw what Flus did last year with DeMarcus Walker with some of that inside-outside capability and how he was more willing to go out there and add. I mean, they went out and added pieces at the deadline for the interior because they didn't feel like they had enough on the interior last season. So that's a spot right there where the upgrades have been massive for the Chicago Bears this year. And I just don't see Zacch Pickens continuing to be a part of that team and a part of this team and a part of that list. I would say he's probably right now at the top of my list, but we'll see what ends up happening in the long run on this. Number 3 on the list right now for me is Durham Smythe. I know the Bears just signed him this offseason, but with drafting Colston Loveland, doesn't seem like you're going to move on from Cole Kmet. I would think those are your top 2 tight end spots. And we heard, right, Ben Johnson giving Joel Wilson the praise for what he's done in camp. And I'll tell you this right now, the praise is very, very valid. When you're talking about somebody who you may want to end up keeping on the team, Durham Smythe's more of a blocking tight end than he is anything else. He's definitely that opposite tight end to the guy who's actually getting the job done out there. I'm trying to pull up these the comments that he had on Joel Wilson, especially. Now, what I will say is this, right? What is Ben Johnson's big rule? No block, no rock, right? So to me, I do think that there is something there where you have to say, well, if he's not blocking well enough, right? Like, is that somebody who you're going to keep on the team with the no block, no rock mindset? And he talked about how, you know, in that run blocking game, that's where it's going to really be seen, you know, what he can add to this team. But I thought it was very interesting that what he said about Joel Wilson. He moves he's a little savvy in the way he moves. He has a nice route feel to him. The test will really be when we get going in camp, how he holds up in the run game and in the pass pro game. But so far in the running route section of tight end play, I think he stood out in a positive light. And I think that for me is something where you kind of got to look at it and say, listen, if you're going to talk about keeping a tight end out there, you want to have a guy that can be impactful in the passing game, right? Yes, you want your run blockers. Yes, you want your guys that can get out on the edge and have the pass pro. But if Joel Wilson can show that, he also has made some phenomenal plays in the actual pass catching game that I think are going to be big feathers in his cap heading forward. And you want that youth, you want that piece that can go out there and make plays. And if I throw you out there, I need to know that if Colston is banged up or if Cole is banged up, that somebody can get out there and catch the football. That's just not what Durham Smythe's role has been. He's been a tight end 3 pretty much most of his career and has had some special teams contributions, which may end up keeping him on the team. But again, I think those are the moments where you kind of start to look at it and say, yeah, I get what you have right now, but in the long run, I feel like having a guy who can be more impactful, especially with an offensive coach in the pass catching game, and maybe he's not on the same level in the run game or he's not on the same level in the pass pro game, but if it's anywhere close, I'd rather have the guy that can go out and run routes and catch passes. So I think to me that makes him a little bit interesting at this spot, and he's one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on because, again, when you talk about impact, didn't really pay attention to him much at minicamp, didn't see him make a ton of plays. You know, he had a couple of catches here and there, but hopefully we see, somebody emerge as that tight end 3. And I know tight end 3 is a nothing role in a lot of people's minds, but listen, somebody gets banged up and quickly you're tight end 2. 2 guys get banged up, quickly you're tight end 1. So, and this is football. So it's a real possibility. And I think heading into camp is where you identify the best depth that you can have going into the season, because they're not going to be, I get it, there's always competition for the starting spot. There's not going to be a ton of competition for a lot of these positions. Nobody's taking Caleb Williams' spot. The offensive line, for the most part, is set in four guys there. Maybe wide receiver 3 is a little bit of a competition, but I think Luther Burden probably has a foot forward right now because he was drafted by this regime, although Olamide Zaccheaus was also brought in. I think that, when you look at some of the guys who, on the defensive side of the ball, like, my point is most of the positions are set, right? You're not coming into this camp going, oh, we're going to be replacing a ton of people and there's a ton of competition here. I know everyone says that, but for me, I would not be surprised if we see a guy like Durham Smythe, who was signed this offseason, end up not being a part of this team heading into the season. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. If you have not done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Who are your cut candidates? Who are the guys that you're watching for where you're like, this guy's definitely on the bubble right now? Let me know that in the comments below as well. And if you haven't done so, drop a bird down in the chat, man. Big bird downs to every Bears fan out there, man. Love you guys so much. Let's get to number 4. Number 4, I think, is going to be a tough one, because he's, again, somebody, maybe I got to stop interviewing guys. Somebody else that I interviewed, although I did interview Javon, so we're good. I interviewed Javon, but I also interviewed Rome. I think we're good. Somebody else that I interviewed, though, in Tyler Scott, where, listen, y'all know how I feel about T. Scott. I think that he has all the talent in the world. I think off of the line, he's got some phenomenal footwork. I think he's got great speed. You got to catch the football. And while he has made some really nice plays in mini camp and heading into training camp, I think that there's an opportunity for him to make some nice plays as well. I think where he does try and make this team, and why to me he's on the bubble right now and could be a cut candidate, is because you just haven't seen him get the opportunity, especially last year, to show that his hands have improved. The last real memory you have of Tyler Scott is that deep shot down the left side where he could have won the game versus Detroit. Justin Fields threw him an absolute dot. It hit him only in both hands, and he ends up dropping the football. Really didn't see him get a ton of run after that. Those are the things to me where, when you start to look around, not to say he won't be in the NFL. I think he's got all the talent in the world, but I just don't see where he fits in. Listen, y'all know who my camp darling is. JP Richardson, I think, is absolutely my camp darling right now. And I don't expect him to make this team. Joel Wilson, who was praised by Coach Johnson, right? I don't know if he's going to make the team. He got the praise, but I don't know if he's going to make the team. Where does he fit in, right? Like, that's the thing where there's so many positions that you come into and you just kind of say, I don't really see a spot for you. Tyler Scott, maybe a little bit on the special teams, had some gunner run last year, and he did a good job with that. But for me, right, when you're talking about another 2023, I think he was also a 3rd, or was he a 4th round pick? With the talent that's been added, the amount of names that are above him. I mean, Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, of course, is locked in there. Luther Burden is already absolutely above him. Olamide Zaccheaus, I believe, is above him, right? Like, you go through a list of guys before you get to Tyler Scott, and I'm going to be honest with you, it may honestly just be to the point where you've added enough talent to this team where you can say, listen, while I like you, hopefully you can stick around on the practice squad or find your way on another team here, but there just isn't the spot for you outside of literally being the 5th or 6th wide receiver on the team. And that's a special teams guy. And not to say Tyler Scott can't play some of those special teams roles, but you got guys that you're going to have to beat out for that role. And so to me, I think that does make this a little bit tougher for T. Scott here to actually find a way to be impactful and make enough of an impact where Ben Johnson is paying attention to him. And especially with the guy I have on this list at number 5, just to finish this out here. Listen, I know you re-signed Travis Homer to a 1-year deal. And while I do believe that Travis Homer, I think he'll be on the team. And I'm not even really, I think he's a bubble guy, but I think he's a bubble guy because of the competition. You signed him to a 1-year deal. He's essentially just a special teamer. He's got tough competition in the backfield, and you just heard Ben Johnson praise Kyle Monangai for some of the things that he's actually been able to do as far as the running back position goes. And listen, as much as Kyle Monangai is a running back, right? the blocking was something that was absolutely loved about this guy. And so does he get out there and actually have an opportunity to try and win a spot on special teams, maybe as a blocker on the kickoff or whatever it may be? You're competing with T. Scott. I think when you're talking about guys who, listen, you heard the praise also of Dominique Robinson. I think Dominique Robinson fits in more as a special teams guy than he does as a pass rush guy. If you got Dom Rob on the special teams, if you got Booker on special teams, right? Like, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, where does Travis Homer fit on this team? And to me, while I do think that he's got the best opportunity to be a bubble guy that makes this team, I do think he's still in that cut candidate conversation, because when you talk about T. Homer, while he does everything that you want to see from a special teams ability, again, do you have a guy who's giving you that special teams ability, but also can come in and you can turn around and hand the rock off to him 20 times a game? If you have a situation like you had last year where just about every running back was banged up and you can count on him to go out there and have a solid day for you. I think you've got some backs on this roster that can do that from the running back position. And the question is, are they going to be able to win a job from the special teams position here? Those are my five, though, and the ones that I'm really, really focusing in on here heading into training camp. We got 7 weeks until anything happens at training camp. So we'll see, right, if we're actually still talking about these guys on the bubble by the time things get kicking off. But for me right now, I'm just excited to know that it feels good having the offense a little bit ahead of the defense at this point, but not because the defense is struggling. I think it's just because the defense is making things difficult and the offense is actually shining over what the defense has been able to do. So I think this is the best mini camp we've come out of in a long time, and it feels really good. And hopefully this actually turns into something that at training camp continues to show. And by the time we get to preseason and the regular season, we see a football team that's ready to go out there and dominate. But let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys, as well as always. It's your boy Pat, the designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.